You stupid bitch. Yeah, you're a stupid bitch. You stupid bitch. Welcome to this week's episode of Stupid Bitches Say What, the Aussie podcast about everything and nothing, but always with wine, and your hosts, Skyly Collett and Sean Hipkins. And before you start, Sky, I think we should just explain to our dear listeners how we were so super drunk in the last episode that we forgot to do the intro altogether and just started with what you're drinking. So that'll explain the costume change for those watching at home.
Hence why I'm drinking beer in this first episode that we're recording later on. This week, it's Pop Culture Plus, and we are chatting about some supernatural TV shows that are our faves in years gone by, and also some fresher shows that are currently airing. Listen in as we chat about those vampire slayers and vampires themselves, Buffy and its spin-off Angel, and also the comedy shows Ghost, both the UK and US versions, and the Witches of Mayfair. Settle in and let us inspire you to rewatch a fave or find a new addiction.
Aww.
There's a little bit of a burp in there. What are you drinking, Sean?
Well, Sky, I am drinking, and I know you'll know this one, and I saved it especially for this episode. 4 Men in a Shed. It's an angel wine. You know this, right?
Before.
I think you've drunk it before.
Need to get onto that catalogue. I really do, don't I?
This is a Grenache Shiraz Mataro, 2022 from the Barossa Valley, which is also in New South Wales. I was going to say South Australia. So yeah, I'm drinking 4 Men in the Shed. It's a Grenache. We like a Grenache. It sounds like a dessert.
Love a Grenache. I never had drunk on a Grenache, and so I started ordering naked wine. So thank you for that, guys.
Yes, you're welcome.
But yeah, I do love a Grenache.
And it's tasty.
Is that?
But what, pray tell, are you drinking, you stupid bitch? And speaking of what, pray tell, are you drinking?
What, pray tell, are you drinking, you stupid bitch?
Merchandise.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So what I'm drinking, so you know that I subscribe to that box. I've stopped the subscription because I was getting too much
the health
shit
box.
In the end, the health box. I was getting too much shit in the end.
I wondered how long that would last.
I've got a cupboard full of it because I forgot to cancel it, and it's a 3-month renewal.
I forgot to cancel it twice.
So I've pretty much had it for a year, right? And I've got so much crap in my cupboard that is just shit, right? Yeah. It's too healthy for me. It's gone way to the other side. Anyway.
Soybean crisps.
So, well, they do this one thing where they use coffee grounds, so leftover coffee grounds that they've made into chips, a type of chip, because they're trying, it's all.
So they're recycling someone else's coffee into your chip.
Yeah. So it's not just health. It's about, what do they call it, where you don't consume things, living like a
I know what you mean.
Non-impact life or something.
What is
non-footprints life or something.
Non-footprints life.
Non-carbon.
What is it when you are environmentally friendly?
Living a certain lifestyle. What is it? That's not going to come up under that.
Hang on. Sustainability.
So it's like a sustainable life, blah, blah, blah. So one thing they sent me was these chips that were made from leftover coffee grounds.
That shit, though. You don't want to eat someone's used coffee. I don't mind fucking recycled plastic and paper, but fuck that.
It was organically used coffee.
I still don't want someone else's fucking coffee spread.
And they put a whole bunch of other shit into it to make it into biscuits or something. Anyway, I drew the line. I was like, I'm out. I'm fucking out. They sent me too many fucking gut healthy things and powders and shit. Anyway, so they've also sent me a whole fuck ton bunch of non-alcoholic shit. Okay. So usually I give it to my niece. I'm like, here, I've got this non-alcoholic thing. It's in like a champagne glass. Do you want it? Like, pretend you're drinking? That's terrible. It's a terrible role model thing to do. Anyway.
Maybe I can have it for Dry July.
Anyway, so I've kept a few of them. So what I thought tonight I would do is taste them all. There's only 3. whilst I'm also drinking alcohol. So
I was gonna say
thinking
mixed
that
with vodka, maybe.
I'm not going to mix them, but I'm thinking that whilst I'm a little bit pissy, maybe the taste will be a
It could
little
be a bit
bit better.
fun. Okay.
Okay, so first one.
Well, you can have you can do a sip taste in between each fucking subject. If
That's
you
what I thought. I thought I'd just
Yeah.
but I'm also going to drink a full strength alcoholic
good.
wine
I'm
as
glad to
well. I'm not
hear.
just going to drink this shit. But
So
I'm going to
what's
go. The first one's a La Vie and Rose, which I love that song. La Vie and Rose. I love
Levy
it.
and Rose.
Crisp rose bubbles. Alcohol delicately
bubbles.
removed, please.
Delicately removed. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've had something that was delicately removed before.
I've got another one which is alcohol gently removed. So let's have a sip, shall we? It's going to be fucking
I want one that's
sick.
an alcohol roughly removed. I like it a bit more of a smack in the face. Thanks.
Agreed.
Forcibly
Agreed.
removed.
Take it out. Just really get in there and rev it out.
Alcohol
Put it in.
rips fair out of the fucking thing.
So it looks nice. Like the bottles, the can's actually quite
Fancy.
lovely. It's beautiful, but it's going to taste like absolute disgustingness.
Okay, so the sip's been taken. She's nearly spitting it out. She's tapping her lips. She's not sure. She thinks it's okay.
It's actually not it's not horrible.
There you go. It's not horrible. What does it taste like though?
It tastes sweet.
Like a rose?
Which I won't do any sweetness. No, way sweeter than a rosé. And it's actually okay. So it goes the perfect blend of delicate pink rose petals, tart native rosella, and vibrant citrus. A dry and refreshing finish with lingering flavors of crisp apple and cayenne.
Oh, apple. See, that's just sweet.
Yeah, it's actually not.
Isn't
awful,
rosella a bird though?
But my whole body rejects the fact that there's no alcohol in it. It's like, what's the
Are
fucking
you like
point?
that every time you drink a just simple can of Coke? It's disgusting.
Actually, it's got a weird aftertaste. You don't know this about me, but I don't really drink any soft drink. I'm not a soft drink person. I'm not I'll have a sip of a Coke from a Macca's.
More of a soda. What about Sprite?
No, I don't drink any soft drink at all. I really don't. I don't really drink juices or anything. I drink a lot of water, a lot of coffee,
alcohol,
and a fuck ton of wine and beer. I really don't drink soft drink. Worried about my health.
No judgment.
Don't want those what do they call them? The calories, the
empty calories. Not empty calories. Additional calories.
Yeah.
So what alcoholic drink are you drinking?
I'm still drinking the same wine from before. But I've got another bottle of wine to get onto next.
It's good. All right. Well, we'll get onto that as we progress.
But I've got two more that I want to unveil throughout this podcast, okay?
Okay, deal.
It's not going to be too bad.
You're horsing down the soft drink that you don't really like that's full of no alcohol. Only because it's been subtly removed.
Now I'm getting the real shit into my body. Get in there. Oh, how's your week been?
Oh, thank you. I never thought you'd ask. Well, I did just want to mention to our dear listeners that by this time that this episode drops, Vinny and I will actually be into our second week of dry July. So I want to clarify, whilst it seems like I'm drinking during dry July, for those who've supported our endeavour, it's the magic of pre-recording, please. I have a double tonight with boozing, and then we have another double next Friday, 30th of June, which I will also be boozing on. Thank God the 1st of July starts on a Saturday. So still a couple of doubles to go, and I get to booze through.
I love your martyr position on that, but also remember whose birthday it is in the middle of July.
I've also told you that I'm able to get myself, because there's 5 weekends this July, which is slightly annoying for a dry July episode. But I'm able to purchase myself a golden ticket for $25 where I'm allowed to drink during that session.
What if I buy one of those tickets as well for you if I want to drink with you during July? Can I do that?
Well, aren't you drinking during July?
No, I mean if I buy one for you as well so that you can drink with me.
Oh, like every weekend. Guys, I've just bought a golden ticket.
Not every weekend,
I
but
gotta
maybe
go on a
one extra weekend
ticket.
because we really haven't seen each other for a really long time.
It has been a long time. And look, yes, maybe we could do that, but we
We're
don't
talking
need
a
to,
month, people too.
we don't need to advertise that. So thank you everyone for your support. It's been
Thanks,
great.
guys.
But really what I want to get into was merch. So by now, our merch store should be open. We will have jumpers, shirts, tank tops, super cool mugs. And I fucking love the mugs. How good are the mugs?
I was going to say the same thing. It's in my how's your week been? Because the mugs are the best quality mugs. And I have a lot of mugs, man. You know how many mugs I have and how many
print
mugs I brought. They are
fantastic.
Insane mugs. They are super sturdy. The color is not even...
It's vibrant.
Bothered to, it's just
disappear like your tattoo. Strong. So look at our website. And by website, I mean Instagram and Facebook page. We'll have links to all our merch. We've got one of our special shirts. So we've got our Stupid Bitches.
You can see your writing better. You show yours.
But we've got our other shirts and we've got some little adjustments to make. But this is one of the shirts. And it says, "And what, pray tell, are you drinking, you stupid bitch?" So these are all going to be available by now. So the only bit of advice I can give is buy a lot, because the first part of shipping is expensive, but when you add other products onto it, the shipping's not as expensive. So get your mates to all chip in together and buy in one bulk load to save on the shipping. But trust me, you're going to love this stuff. We got some sweatshirts, and I have to say the sweatshirts are actually super comfy.
I have been living in mine, and I tell you what, ladies, if you want someone to stare at your boobs, they totally will in this sweatshirt, because they're constantly looking every time I walk in the shop, so that people are looking like, what's on her shirt? What's on her shirt?
Well, when I'd ordered them originally, I thought they were jumpers, and I thought, oh, the sweatshirts, I've got to delete them. So we have hoodies.
What's the difference in your mind to a sweatshirt and a jumper? To me, they're the same thing.
Well, the jumper's got the hoodie and it's got the pockets at the front.
That's a hoodie. That's a hoodie.
Well, the sweatshirts, to me, I don't really own any sweatshirts. These are super comfy, where I'm wearing them without a t-shirt underneath on these cold nights, and I'm just fucking super comfy.
I'm wearing them with leggings, and just going to the shops with just my jumper on. Yeah. And leggings. I love it. So
we'll have both on offer.
Wear it constantly.
Yeah, I'm going to re-bring that one into our merch, and we'll have that launched. Just got a few things to sort out in the meantime. But yes, and there's also going to be some little Christmas ornaments, which we might just launch at the same time so people can buy all at once.
I think so.
But the Christmas ornaments are super cute, aren't they?
Super cute. It's all really cute. It's all, I love it all. We got one of everything for each other.
We did. Well, we had to sample the products. The tank tops are cute. The t-shirts are great. Look forward to releasing it to you all. Get amongst it, bitches. And how's your week been?
Well,
you super sacco bitch.
I was also going to talk about the merch, but you just stole my fucking thunder. But what
I did put it all together, so you know.
Fuck you. Okay, well, I've only got one thing to really talk about, which is. Are you ready for this?
I cannot wait.
I finished reading.
Oh.
Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, Crawdads.
Okay. And can you please tell listeners what the deal was with that book, please?
So the deal was we were going to read it together, and then we weren't to watch the movie until we'd read the book. For those loyal listeners, you would have heard that when Sky had started reading the book, my husband had bullied me into watching the TV show.
Did we put that in the podcast, or did we just talk about that separately?
No, that was in a podcast.
Oh, okay.
My husband had bullied me into watching the movie, which I reluctantly agreed to do. And I have to say the movie is fantastic. And I still have the book to read because I want to read the book, because I'm sure there's a bit more involved in the book than there is the movie. Have you seen the movie?
And then I made Tyler. So I literally finished watching it. I finished reading on Tuesday night, and I made Tyler watch it on Wednesday night. They left a lot out, and I feel like if I had said, because everyone had said to me, you're not the first person to tell me that the film was amazing. So many people have said to me the film is amazing, but these are people who have not read the book.
Right.
So
Is the book superior?
Look, I really enjoyed the book. I'd probably give it a 3.5 to a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I definitely loved it. It definitely had lots of stuff in there that I loved.
Yeah.
Getting repetitive now. I feel like the film mushed a lot of stuff together and created a very different narrative for some of the characters who were important in the book, which I grew to really love. Particularly Tate. Like they didn't really.
Who was Tate?
Tate was the boy who loved her from the beginning, but left her to go to college and then didn't tell her. And then,
didn't turn up that time when she was waiting to show him her book.
Yeah. So there was lots more of that. Jumpin', Mabel and Jumpin', the African-American
the
people.
store owners.
Yes. They played a much bigger part in it. She'd go because they live on Coloured Lane because it was back in the time where segregation was still around. So they didn't
really. They touch on the fact that the coloureds were coloureds.
Yes.
But they don't really explore that in the movie.
But they played a much more significant, like certainly didn't go out to her house or anything and help her in any way like that, but became massive parental figures in the only way they could because they were coloured and they could, even though she was ostracized.
And she was by herself from a young age.
For them to step in as coloured people and for her being a white child, they would have just ended up getting
lynched.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but they still did as much as they could, and they didn't really show a lot of that. They didn't show a lot about her alibi and how ridiculous it was for her to be accused of that crime and how impossible it was, and then the other side of how she did it. Oh yeah, okay. You can cut that. Anyway,
but quickly while we're in the cutting zone, so hang on. Okay, so no cutting zone. So was it worth reading the book after seeing the movie?
I don't know that you would really like the journey. I don't think you might. Look, you might. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think you've got it there. Pick it up. Get rid of that other book that you've been sat on for fucking 7 months.
Yeah,
and give it a go. I did find it very easy because I found it. So the first chapter presents it. She's in this very loving, happy family, and her dad's a bit of a psycho, but everyone loves each other and they're so happy together. So reading that first chapter and knowing from the previews that I'd seen that she ends up alone living in the marshes on her own, I was like, how does it escalate to the point where she's on her own? Like,
and then it all went wrong.
I couldn't fathom it in my mind, and then it progresses, and that part's pretty intense. How it gets to that point. And they didn't really tell much about what happened to the mother, because what happens to the mother is really tragic as well. And they didn't really tell a lot about that
in the movie compared to the book.
In the book, it's very tragic what happens to the mother. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
so shall we get into this episode?
Shall I open another drink? Another non-alcoholic?
Oh, hang on. Before, go for it. What is that one you're opening? It's like a champagne bottle.
It's an Edenvale Sparkling Cuvée.
Sparkling.
They
really gently removed the alcohol out of that one.
Well, this just says Best of Earth and Science, alcohol removed, like an FYI. I'm looking for the
really
0.0 approximate drinks.
Do you know what really pisses me off is like I'm rolling my eyes about the fact that you're drinking this, and this is what I'm going to be drinking all month. Oh, smells like ass.
Ready?
Straight from the bottle. Go.
This is what happens when you try to not drink alcohol, people. Be warned.
Oh, she's been sick everywhere. Someone hold her hair.
Also tastes like apple juice.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst part. When you buy fucking non-alcoholic wine, you spend $20 on it.
And I'll have a sip of this one. Thank you very much for coming, people.
All right, should we get into our
gross
special? I'm going to start with Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Please.
So I know we have definitely touched on this topic before in our podcast. And I'm guessing, because I remember when I was writing it, I'm like, this is all very familiar. And I'm guessing it's definitely during the vampire episode. So some of this may end up being a bit repetitive for
And
our
I think
long-time
other
listeners.
times, like I think there's other times that we've talked about Buffy when we've gone on tangents about things.
We don't go on tangents. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I stand corrected. You're right. What am I
We
talking
do.
about? What is this podcast even about?
Who am I?
Am I the co-host or am I not?
You're actually correct. We do go on tangents. So if this is repetitive for our long-time listeners, soz. But as we know,
You should be used to it by now.
you should be used to it by now. But as we know, Buffy was born with the 1992 film about a high school cheerleader who learns that her fate is to hunt vampires. And it was a comedy horror hit, if you will. The film, however, took a different direction from what the writer Joss Whedon? How do you say it? Whedon.
I'm going to say Whedon.
Intended. And 5 years later, but my notes say, and 5 years later.
We definitely did the movie. We did the movie as well. Now it's all coming back to me, not just the show. We did the movie.
Yes, because we had it with the fucking David Arquette and the guy who's the actual main vampire.
Yeah.
But 5 years later, Joss Whedon created the darker and critically acclaimed television series of the same name.
Darker.
So it was darker. Premiering in March of 97, the show had a 7-season run. So while the movie was a hit, the show was a cultural phenomenon. The show follows the life of Buffy Summers, a young woman chosen by fate to be the Slayer, same as the movie, the one girl in every generation with the strength and skills to battle vampires, demons, and other supernatural creatures. The show is known for its unique blend of genres, combining elements of horror, comedy, drama, and romance. It often explores deeper themes and metaphors. There was a few romantical things. It often explores deeper themes and metaphors through its supernatural stories, tackling issues such as identity, adolescence, love, friendship, and the struggle between good and evil. Buffy.
I come across that every day of my life.
Buffy, portrayed by Sarah Michelle Gellar, starts her journey in the town of Sunnydale, where she attends high school and fights against various supernatural threats alongside her friends, who are known affectionately.
What's Sunnydale?
The Hellmouth.
It's on the Hellmouth, plus.
Yes, but she fights these threats alongside her friends, her super friends, which we affectionately known as the Scooby Gang. Affectionately. Her closest allies include the bookish Willow Rosenberg. At band camp, one time I stuck a flute up my pussy. She doesn't say that in this show, though.
If you were living under a rock. I still love her to this day. I am like obsessed with her. I think
she had
she's
such
amazing.
A great fucking journey with her character.
And then How I Met Your Mother. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
The witty and loyal friend Xander Harris and the enigmatic vampire with a soul.
Massive drug addict these days.
Is he?
Xander.
Is he?
We've also done this on the show. I did it in What's the Hat one time. My dick and my balls are in trouble. I can't feel my dick and my balls.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He paints pictures all the time and has a GoFundMe page
for
where you give him money
balls.
for his pictures, but he was in hospital because his dick and his balls were in a lot of pain.
We also have her watcher Giles and other characters that come and go, please. So throughout the series, Buffy faces numerous challenges, both personal and supernatural. She battles a wide array of villains, including powerful vampires, demon witches, and even gods. The show is notable for its complex characters, clever writing, and the way it subverts traditional genre expectations. Buffy the Vampire Slayer received critical acclaim and developed a dedicated fan base over the years. It is often praised for its strong female lead, well-drawn characters, and its ability to tackle serious topics through the lens of supernatural storytelling. The show also spawned a spin-off series called
Angel,
which followed the adventures of the character of the same name. After the show.
Sorry, I was so not keeping up with where you were going with that.
After the show, it finished after the show finished, it continued on as a comic book series, which I'd be super intrigued to read, actually, because by the time I'd finished the series, the TV series, I was officially Buffy obsessed.
I had about 25 of the books too. They had a book series.
They did have
continued on after,
yes.
and I read them all. I was obsessed.
Really?
Yeah,
25
it was
of the
all.
fuckers.
It was all, and they weren't written by anyone associated with the show or whatsoever. They were just some like they were endorsed by the show.
They were tied into the
Yeah.
And I remember you had I think it was the VHS or the DVD series, and then I took them off you, and then ended up just throwing them out because I was like, I don't need these.
Because nobody needs DVDs in their life anymore.
There was also a satirical porno.
They're worth nothing but space.
Yeah. There was also a satirical porno that came out of it called Muffy, the Vampire Layer. that I remember hearing about. I'm pretty sure I didn't watch, and I'm sure she got staked.
So it was like a magazine, or was it a film?
No, it was a porno movie. Muffy,
I
the
have
Vampire
to
Layer.
see that.
It was some part of it. So I remember Buffy airing, but I never really got into it at the time. It was airing as it aired week by week. I did not. And I think I remember seeing the episode where she jumps off the tower, sacrificing herself for all humanity. I think that's in episode 5. Season 5,
and then her sister comes back. That's where the gods come into it.
Yeah. But when I moved to London, which was in 2006, my roommate's girlfriend was a total Buffy fan, and she had the full series on DVD, and that is how I got into it. I just remember binging the shit out of it. So I started watching it, and I was like obsessed. And I'd come home from a night out, and they'd be passed out in the bed because it was literally a roommate scenario, not a housemate. 2 people in the same room, big rooms. And I'd start watching it, and they'd be like, "No Buffy tonight." And I'd have to turn it off and watch it later on. But I was obsessed. I remember I could totally watch it again, the whole series, but I know it would be a proper commitment. And at the Mo, there's just too much other shit to get through that I need to plow through, as in TV shows. I'd actually like to watch it in conjunction with Angel, because I know that there's a lot of crossovers of characters between the shows while they were both airing. Like where Buffy would end up in an episode of Angel, and Angel would end up in an episode of Buffy and whatnot.
Yeah, but Buffy finishes season 3, and then Angel starts season 4, season 1.
Yes, and then they sort of cross over, and from then on.
Buffy and Angel only have 1 crossover. Oh, maybe 2, to be fair.
Also, I really do not rate season 1 of Buffy.
I mean, the character Buffy and Angel, I only have a couple of, there's
just
lots
to
of
probably
characters.
promote it across,
Yeah, they did a couple of, I think it's to be fair, actually, I think there was 2 times Buffy came to Angel, and Angel came back to Buffy once, I think. Mm-hmm. But then the rest, there was heaps of character crossovers, but in terms of
and some of the shit, the storylines,
Buffy and Angel, they were done with each other, fucking done.
Well, I'm not surprised with the shit they went through. But also, I don't really rate season 1 of Buffy at all. Do you?
Oh, I don't think it holds up at all. And it's funny because throughout my research, I got really hyped on the whole Angel storyline again. I was like, oh my God, I could totally rewatch this. I couldn't do Buffy again. No way.
I totally could. And I'll get to
that.
Too
teeny bopper. The thing about Angel was, it was in an adult world. They were adults. It wasn't the high school stuff. And at the time, don't get me wrong, in my heyday, Buffy was my life.
Yeah.
I was on all the fucking chat rooms, getting all the goss that I could get, reading all the
Facebook
articles.
games that came out of it? Like, but they weren't Buffy as such, but it was like you were a vampire, you were a werewolf, you were a slayer and all that. And you'd fight other vampires and werewolves and whatnot. And
they used to have the DVD collection in the locked cage at Target and Big W and stuff like that. It was locked up. And I used to go, and you could only buy it in a box set, and it was a half-season box set as well.
Yes, that's right.
And I'd save up my cash. I mean, I was in my 20s then, but still living at home, fucking in a shit job.
And when you think about it, they were still quite expensive.
Oh, they were like $60, $70 each, and that's massive. Even to this day, that's a huge amount of money.
Like one DVD was $30.
Yeah,
back then, which is now probably about $70.
And you could only get it on Foxtel, and they stopped bringing on Foxtel, and there was this whole thing about where you could watch it, so you could only get the DVDs in the end. You couldn't see it on anything else, and I was obsessed, like proper obsessed.
Well, see, I would still watch it because, and if I'm doing a series again, my OCD means I need to start from the start. So that might be something that's also
What
hindering
about the
me
whole weird
doing the
vampire
rewatch.
face that?
Oh yeah, totally. And that's what I hated about season 1 was the master. I thought he looked horrendous. But the season also introduces to a lot of the foundation that Buffy is.
Yeah.
Like the characters, the Watcher, her becoming Buffy, meeting Angel, all that shit. Season 2 picks up a little bit, but is that the one where it's got the little kid who's the master, or
It's
who's
hard to say.
But we get introduced to Spike and Drusilla, and I fucking loved Drusilla.
I
She was
love
amazing.
Drusilla and Darla. I love Darla.
Oh, Darla was such a bitch. That was Angel's missus, wasn't it?
Yeah. The blonde one. And she was Dexter's wife, remember?
Yes.
They got murdered brutally.
That's right. So I think it's also season 2 is where we meet Oz the werewolf, and he was always a fun character. It always seemed to be a great episode when Oz was in it, but his character never really went anywhere, did it?
And then he dodged Willow, remember, because he met another werewolf and cheated on her.
That's right. Yeah, they had to
And
lock him up
broke
on
her
a full
heart.
moon.
Yeah, broke her heart, and then he went off with the other werewolf bitch. And Willow's
That's right.
like, I thought you
Fuck yeah! I'm a witch now.
Well, that was later.
As the show goes through each season, the intricacy of in the characters and the stories, I think, just get better and better. Other Slayers are activated throughout the show. Do you remember? So when Buffy briefly dies in season 1, another one called Kendra is activated. And then when she dies, we get Faith, who's activated when Kendra dies. I think Kendra is Brazilian. And Faith was a pretty kick-ass Slayer. But my favorite season ever is
So
season
you didn't watch
5.
any of Angel then?
I started, so when I'd gotten through the hype of Buffy and I was downloading, when you had to download shows, do you remember you'd have a hard drive full of fucking shows that you downloaded? I downloaded Angel and I'd started watching season 1, but I didn't get past season 1 because
so
just other shit was
Faith ends up
happening
being the biggest baddie ever.
Is she an Angel? Is she? I
She
thought
fucks everything up. She
Well,
does.
I know she was, but she was pretty cool in the thing, and she was in Bring It On too.
Yeah, but she went across to Angel and fucked everything up, then went back to Buffy and fucked everything up, and then she died.
I remember she was ends up becoming a villain in fucking.
She was a huge villain. She was one of the biggest ones.
But season 5 is my favorite fucking season of Buffy ever. Oh my god, really? It's like Count Dracula makes an appearance. Dawn randomly appears in the first episode, the sister.
Oh, that's the Dawn one. See, because I think I'd just come back from being overseas, and I think I'd put it on, and I hadn't watched it for a little while. And Dawn was in it, and I was like, "What am I watching? What have I missed? How does she have a sister?" Yeah. And I remember scrolling back and going, "I'm watching the first episode. I'm certain I saw the last season where she killed herself on the thing and sacrificed herself. Why is there a sister? She never had a sister before." And they were fighting and stuff, and the sister was a main character. And I was like, "What is happening?"
I remember in that first
tripped
episode,
me out for ages.
Tripped me out too, because I remember watching the first season of season 5, and it's like, Mom, and they're arguing with each other. I'm like, who the fuck is this bitch?
Also, don't do that to people who live abroad and fucking, like but have segregated lives.
I love how they made it that like Dawn was just always there, but she wasn't, and they'd put some spell in the brains of the family to sort of make it that.
Well, they put a spell in my brain too and confused the fuck out of me, because I was like, what's even happening? Is this the same show? Did they just change something? And I was Googling, but there was nothing like back in those days. Remember when they could hide stuff?
Yes.
And so they specifically had hidden it for the fact that that was a whole storyline that they wanted to create. So there was nothing online. And I was like, am I losing my mind? Did I take too many drugs in England?
What's happening here? But she ends up being a key that they need to protect.
Yes, I'm aware.
And there's that whole fucking storyline of then about when Dawn finds out she's a key and she's not actually a person, and there's that whole drama about that. But people hated her character, and I actually quite liked it.
I thought she was annoying. I thought Buffy was more annoying towards her than anything else, and I hated Buffy mostly through that season, because I was like, Buffy, shut the fuck up. Stop being a dead shit.
But there's quite a few clues around the arrival of Dawn.
Well, that was the season that what's her name died. Was it Janice? Jan. What was the mother's name?
So she died in what is
was it the end of season 5?
Yes, because she died from a brain tumor or something which she got from the spell that they created for
Yes. That was hectic.
Buffy's
That was
mum.
fucked
That
up,
was
those episodes.
terrible.
And remember, she
Joyce.
blamed Joyce and she blamed Dawn for it all. Remember?
Yes. And then that was part of season 6 and shit.
That was
Yeah.
brutal shit.
Yeah. So but there's all these clues about Dawn's arrival. So in season 4, there's a dream a dream sequence where Faith's in it, who tells Buffy her little sister's coming and she needs to prepare. And there's some other more intricate clues throughout it if you're an avid Buffy fan that I won't really get into, but they involve 7:30, which is the time and the number of days between Dawn's arrival and shit like that. And then 7:30 appears in all the dreams when they mention these clues about Dawn. Anyway, that season 5, the main villain is the hell goddess Glorificus, or Glory.
Glory.
Who was
so it could be the guy,
Yes.
The doctor guy. Was he a nurse? Doctor or nurse?
Glory was exiled from her dimension after a war and has come to Earth, and she can only remain there by being connected to her human form, which is a medical intern called
That's
Ben.
it. Yeah.
And Glory takes the form of a beautiful young woman with some of her powers still intact as long as she maintains her strength through draining people of their sanity. And then, yeah, she'd be there. And I remember when Buffy would be talking to Ben and he'd be like, I can feel it. She's coming. She's here. She's here. And then it'd turn into Glory and she'd be like, she's here. Yeah, I fucking love that. I love that season so much. So Glory begins searching for the key that will allow her to return to Hell Dimension by blurring the lines between dimensions, and in the process unleashing hell on Earth. And at the beginning of the season, Glory and Ben are vying for control of their person, alternating
and then
who
Ben
possesses
just gives
the body.
In the end, doesn't he? Like,
and then later,
he can't control her. She's just too great for him.
The lines between them begins to blur, and they experience each other's emotions and memories. So she starts remembering his memories and he starts remembering hers. I fucking love the whole concept of it, and it's because of that season that I would actually watch the whole show again. So before I finish, I just want to go through some of my other fave characters, and I'd love to hear some of yours. Cordelia, who starts off as the mean girl but ends up with a more major part to play an angel. So I'll leave that one for you.
I'll talk about that. Yeah, I'll talk about that in great detail.
Riley, her love interest from season 4, who was like a special ops guy.
Yes, that she never really loved. He was gorgeous. Yeah, and now he's on like the Hallmark Channel. He stars in movies with he stars in movies with Candace Cameron. Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
they did Christmas. They were on the Hallmark, and now they're on the Churchy channel.
Oh, he moved with her?
They church hang out together all the time.
Has he moved with her?
Yeah, 100%.
Fuck you, Riley. Anya Jenkins, the former vengeance demon, who was terrified of bunnies.
Yes.
I fucking loved her. She ended up being one of Xander's love interests, but she was fucking one of the comedic fucking characters I thought made the show hilarious. What were yours? What were some of your fucking
Giles? Love Giles.
And do you remember when the younger Watcher came in when Giles got in trouble or did something wrong?
Giles was the best. I also equally loved Cordelia. I loved Anya,
yeah. She was great.
I love Xander.
Like bunnies.
I really loved Xander too, and then he ended up being such a fuckwit. He's a twin. By the way.
What about fucking Willow's girlfriend?
Oh, Tara. I'll talk about Tara in my section too. Love Tara.
Does she make an appearance in Angel?
They all did at some point, I'm pretty sure. And I'll talk about the crossovers when I go through it.
Such a tragedy with Tara.
Yeah. Who else? I loved Oz. I was gutted when he fucked Willow over. But Willow is all time my favorite. Always my favorite. I loved her from the beginning. Just loved her. And then when she started in How I Met Your Mother, I was like, yes, I get it back. Alison Hannigan. And she was amazing in How I Met Your Mother. I loved her forever. Who else? That's probably it. I couldn't stand Buffy. I actually couldn't stand her.
She did get annoying, yeah.
She was the worst.
But you had to have her. Obviously.
Yeah, she was the main character. She was the worst.
So do you have any standout episodes that were a fave?
Oh, no. Not from... I remember I remember running home from school in high school just to watch it and like sit down like in year 12, I think it was, and just having it all taped on Foxtel, like banked in.
Yeah.
And just watching it over and over and over. And because it was only a couple of seasons, I think it might have even just been one season out then, just watching it, the same episodes over and over. And I could recite some of the words to the point because I'd watched them so many times. And that's how obsessed I was that I brought all the books and anything Buffy. I was like, and I remember going out with my high school boyfriend at the time and he was like, can you fucking just stop? And I was like, don't talk to me. I'm watching Buffy. Get the fuck away from me. He was like, this is the worst show I've ever seen. And I was like, shut the fuck up.
You know the rules.
We're breaking up.
And we're done. For that reason, I'm out. So I'll go through a couple of my favorite episodes. The first one was definitely the musical episode, Once More with Feeling.
Of course, everyone quotes that as their faves.
Where the people of Sunnydale find themselves bursting into song and flames when a demon summoned from beyond attempts to make Dawn his bride. And they all just start singing. And
but that was the same time when those scary men that walked on their, like, had no feet.
I've got that one next as
and
well.
They were around at the same time and they brought the demon in, I think.
With them. But that was one where Anya sings her song about bunnies. She's like, I don't like bunnies. Shit. But another one that gets a lot of attention is Hush, where Sunnydale residents lose the power of speech as mysterious creatures search the town for human hearts to steal. That was quite dark, that episode.
Oh, there was heaps of dark ones. There was heaps of brutal ones where like people got murdered in really brutal ways.
There's another one that was, I found out, I didn't realize it was this late in the season. It was in season 7. Called Help, when Buffy is working as a counselor for the students, and there's a teen girl who knows her death is going to occur in a few days.
She's the one with the big eyes.
And they try to help her and all this shit, and it just doesn't. And
she's a ghost in the end, isn't she?
And she ends up.
And that's when the African American guy comes into it, the really hot principal teacher, and he becomes a big part of it as well.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, he's like in everything now. He's in like heaps of TV shows, not movies, but heaps of TV shows. Something Woodward is his surname.
I have to search.
Yeah, he's gorgeous, and he comes into it, and I think he and Buffy end up fucking. I think.
Good for her. What about one? Was it a whole season though? I think where Willow goes witch mad.
Yeah,
and she ends up being the villain of the season.
Yes.
And
so
then they
she
bring her back.
Becomes a witch because of Tara. They call her Tara in the show. And then she gets murdered by the boys. Those 3 boys who were I forget what they called them.
The nerd guys.
Yeah. There was something that they called them. And then she kills 1 or 2 of them. But the little blonde one ends up being a big character in the season finale, the series finale, where they all get murdered and stuff.
I forgot they got murdered because I've got that too.
As Hellmouth, and then all the Slayers come in. Remember, there's like 20 Slayers or some shit.
Isn't that that's a season 7?
That's the finale season.
Yeah, because there's the group of nerds who come into it, and there's that special episode where they've done some mind control, and it starts off where it's not the Buffy intro, it's one of the younger nerds with the glasses, and it's he's the star of the show type of thing. And I thought that was a cool show.
But Willow ends up with one of the Slayers, remember? She gets over a whole shit and she ends up being in a relationship with one of the main Slayers.
See, this is why I need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
But I think the show is defo better from season 3 onwards, I think. All right, you angel me.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it. Okay. So do you know anything about the controversy about Joss Whedon?
Oh, I do know, like, there's some stuff that's now come out recently about how he was quite a cruel director.
I'm going to touch on that, but let's just talk about Angel.
Yeah.
Angel is an American supernatural television series, a spin-off of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The series was created by Buffy creator, writer, and director Joss Whedon. It aired from October 5, 1999 to May 19, 2004, consisting of 5 seasons and 110 episodes. The show details the ongoing trials.
Much ended the same time Buffy ended.
They both ended at the same time, yeah.
Right.
No, I think actually, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Buffy ended and then Angel ended the season after. Because Buffy does a cross, but she never appears in the last season. She's talked about in the last season, but she's never there.
Right.
And they just see her from behind. They just see her blonde hair and stuff because Sarah Michelle Gellar was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Right.
The show details the ongoing trials of Angel, a vampire whose human soul was whose human soul was restored to him by a Romani curse as a punishment for the murder of one of their own. After more than a century of murder and torture of innocence, Angel's restored soul torments him with guilt and remorse. Angel moves to Los Angeles, California, after it is clear that his doomed relationship with Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, cannot continue.
Because what happens when they had sex the first time and
his
he felt
soul
pure
goes back
joy?
in. He felt pure happiness, and if he feels pure happiness,
he loses his soul.
He loses his soul.
That's
yeah.
right.
During the majority of the show, he works as a private detective in LA, where he and a variety of associates work to help the helpless, restoring the faith and saving the souls of those who have lost their way. While he must also battle his own demonic nature, he typically battles with evil demons or humans allied to them, primarily related to Wolfram and Hart, a law firm supported by occult practices, which is an extension of otherworldly demonic forces. I forgot about Wolfram and Hart until I started writing this. I was like, oh my God, Wolfram and Hart.
Yeah, as soon as you said
fuck
it,
you
I was
guys.
That's familiar. Yeah.
The show is considered by many critics as one of the best TV spin-off series of all time, with praise for its darker tone, characters, and performances. So not the show itself as terms of like successful spin-off series that actually reach a level of, series, each seasons and stuff like that. It's actually one
and it had
up
the
there.
longevity of it too. Yeah.
Exactly. So the premise, the series focuses on Angel, David Brenner's super yummy, and you know where else he comes from, right?
It's Jeffersonian. It's shit.
That's
Do you know there's leaked dick pics of him?
Oh yeah, give them to me. Give them to me.
Google that shit.
An Irish vampire.
You might be a bit disappointed, FYI.
Oh no, then I'm not going to watch them. I'm not going to look at them. So he's an Irish vampire who is over 240 years
I can hear
old.
you, Stripey the cat.
I'm going to have to put him down. I told Link. Did I not tell him?
You did.
Angel was known as Angelus during his rampages across Europe, but was cursed with a soul which gave him a conscience and guilt for centuries of murder and torture. He left Buffy the Vampire Slayer at the end of season 3 to move to Los Angeles in search of redemption. Please.
Was he in it till season 3?
Yeah. Season 4 was the start of Angel, and then he wasn't
That's
coming
when
back.
she meets Riley.
Well, season 3 was all about her having sex with him, and then he went evil, remember?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think actually at the end of season 2, they might have had sex, and then he went evil for all of season 3. Yeah.
It's Spike in season 2 and that child.
He soon finds himself assisted by Alan Francis Doyle, Glenn Quinn, another Irish character who is half human, half demon, who, although comes across as a ne'er-do-well husser, has a heroic side.
He is originally from Roseanne.
Don't even, because I've got a segment on it. Yeah. Just wait.
Okay, I'll wait.
Doyle serves to pass along the cryptic visions from the powers that be to Angel. They're soon joined by Cordelia Chase, Charisma Carpenter, please. Also a previous cast member of Buffy, formerly a popular high school cheerleader of Sunnydale High. Cordelia starts her tenure on the show as a more vain and self-centered personality, but grows over the course of the series into a hero.
She goes to LA to become a star, doesn't she?
She does. And then she ends up hooking up with Angel, like in terms of friendship and like just like crashing there and stuff. Cordelia acquires Doyle's vision via a shared kiss prior to Doyle's death. Don't segue in. I'm
Doyle's
coming
the
to
Roseanne
that.
guy. Yeah.
Yes. With the death of Doyle in the 9th episode of the show's first season, another character from the Buffy series makes the jump to its spin-off. Wesley Wyndham-Pryce, Alexis Denisov, also married to Alison Hannigan, aka Willow, joins the team under the brave guise of a rogue demon hunter, acting as comic relief and initially not well accepted. Over time, Wesley shows bravery and strength as well as some
Who's
cold-blooded
Wesley?
killing ability. The young watcher who came in to take Giles's place.
Oh, right.
And they never had his respect. They hated him, remember, because he dogged them a few times.
Yeah.
Like his colleague, Rupert Giles, and grows into a leader. In season 2 of the show, Angel and Cordelia and Wesley are joined by Charles Gunn, a young demon hunter who must initially adjust to working with and for a vampire because his little sister was killed by a vampire. They were homeless on the streets of LA.
No.
At the end of season 2, they travel to the demon world Pylea, where they save Winifred Fred Burkle, Amy Acker, a young Texan physicist whose social skills have become stunted after 5 years in captivity. She later grows to become more outspoken. So she got warped into a different dimension, and they ended up in that dimension and then realized she was there and then saved her.
Right. Brought her back.
Season 3 also saw the introduction of Connor Vincent Carthuza. He's the one who's married to Rory from Gilmore Girls. The miracle human child of 2 vampires, Angel and Darla, abducted into hell. Inducted into a hell dimension as a baby, he's raised by Angel's enemy, Daniel Holtz, and only a few weeks after he left, comes back as a teenager and reluctantly comes to accept his lineage.
Oh, cool.
Although introduced during season 2, Lorne, Andy Hallett, joins the team, an ongoing pacifistic demon who, with prophetic and empathetic abilities, Lorne's role is predominantly to support the demon. He had horns on his face and a green face. Yeah.
Yes.
So jumping to season 5, the show's final season introduced several new cast members, chief among them Spike James Masters.
Oh, Spike comes across.
Old vampire Ali Foe of Angels, who also starred in Buffy. In this series, Spike reluctantly fights below.
Say that again. So as well as Spike, there's also old
No, he's an old vampire ally foe, because remember they were together when they were evil. When Angel was evil, they were mates, and then they became foes when Angel was good.
Yeah.
In this series, Spike reluctantly fights beside Angel as their rivalry continues, now tinged with Spike's existing as another vampire with a soul, and by the romantic feelings that both of them have for Buffy Summers, because he gets his soul back. Remember that?
Yeah, because he had that implant, didn't he? Spike. Yeah.
From Riley's fucking shit, from the robot stuff.
Yeah.
Throughout the series, there were also guest appearances from Buffy characters, including main cast members Buffy Summers, Willow Rosenberg, and Daniel Osborne.
Yeah,
the Rogues
made an appearance in that. Yeah,
the Rogue Slayer Faith, Eliza Dushku, played an important part in episodes of season 1, 2, and 4. That's when she was the bitch slayer.
So she was even in it in season 4. So she mustn't have died till well into Buffy.
Yeah. Researching Angel has totally made me want to watch it again, but I worry that it won't hold up these days.
So you're getting the same vibes as me with Buffy.
So the reason they wrote Doyle's death into the show was because he died in real life.
Yes.
You may also remember him as Mark on Roseanne.
Mark, yep.
The Irish actor Glenn Quinn played both of these characters and was also written out of season 10 of Roseanne. They killed him off.
From his death.
Tragically, he died from an accidental drug overdose in California in December 2002. Bless. He was awesome in it too. He's my favorite Angel character in the beginning. I fucking loved him, and he was gone before it finished. Like, he didn't even see the season out, man. And lastly, we can't discuss Angel without talking about Charisma Carpenter, aka Cordelia Chase, being unexpectedly written out of the 4th season. 1 minute she was there, the next she was gone. The character barely got any closure. If you remember from Buffy, Cordelia was around for the first 3 seasons. You may even remember her dating Xander for a spell there. Then she came to LA and entered the cast of Angel. She became one of my favorite characters. Then she was possessed by a demon and impregnated by Angel's adult son. Super gross. And then gave birth to a full adult-sized human. And then they faded her out into the background saying she hadn't made it. It was so unsatisfying and brutal. And I remember at the time scouring the internet trying to find out what the fuck had happened.
Yeah.
And I think at the time there was a couple of vague statements about conflicts of something, but nothing. No one was really coughing up the goods until 2021, when there were multiple reports of Josh Whedon being a bit of a dick on set.
Yes.
Let's go into that, shall we? Her official statement reads, there's a massive statement, it goes for pages, but this is the snapshot that's publicized in all the articles. In 2021, Josh Whedon abused his power on numerous occasions while working on the sets of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. While he found his misconduct amusing, it only served to intensify my performance anxiety, disempower me, and alienate me from my peers. So a bunch of actors have come out to show and agree with her, including Amber Benson, who played Tara. And I'll get into the quotes, but if you remember what happened was, so he's gone on to do Marvel movies, Justice League, Josh Whedon. He's a big player in Hollywood, like huge. So in Justice League, the guy who was playing, I can't remember the character, was something to do with Flash. It wasn't Flash, but it was one of the co-characters in that storyline, came out and got sacked because he was a real dick to him, and then actually publicly came out and said, this guy's a fuckwit. He like uses his power for bad and he's just abusive and does all these horrible things and yada, yada, yada. Basically the context of Charisma Carpenter's statement is that she read it after like nearly 20 years, 19 years after her being pretty much cancelled on Angel. So like I said, she just exited the show without any warning. So basically she was cancelled like 19 years ago. And then this Justice League guy came out and said, this guy's abusing me, like being a complete bully, blah, 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 blah. He got sacked, yada, 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 yada. And she came out saying, I can't believe I've kept my mouth shut for all these years because I was a young kid. She was like in her early 20s, pregnant at the time when he completely fucked her over, focusing on her family, on her baby, yada, yada. And she feels like real guilt and remorse for keeping her mouth shut because 19 years later, this guy's still doing it. He's gone further and further up the chain and is still doing it. So as I said, a bunch of actors came out to support and agree with her, including Amber Benson, who played Tara, stating the following: Buffy was a toxic environment and it started at the top. At Charisma is speaking truth and I support her 100%. There was a lot of damage done during that time and many of us are still processing it 20 plus years later. Yeah.
And when you're processing it that long after, like, I mean, everyone gets, well, a lot of people have instances at work where you're bullied or there's some wanker at work or blah, blah, blah. To be processing it 20 years later, it's got to be hardcore.
And I think as well, like there's something about the entertainment industry where someone goes from nothing. They have one great idea and then all of a sudden they just go from project to project to project to project to project. And they just keep going and going and going. And it happens really quickly. And it all goes to their head. And then they maybe don't respect where they came from. And then they're getting all this money thrown at them. And all of a sudden they just become
who I am.
This massive dick. So Buffy herself is quoted as follows: Sarah Michelle Gellar, please. And there's a whole massive report. And I didn't want to go into all the details because it carries on a bit. I've come to a good place with it where it's easier to talking about Josh Whedon and the potential abuse she may have suffered on the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'll never tell my full story because I don't get anything out of it. Or I've said all I'm going to say because nobody wins. Everybody loses. Very cryptic.
Yeah.
The star continued, I'm not the only person facing this, and I hope the legacy hasn't changed. I hope that it gives success back to the people that put in all the work. I will always be proud of Buffy. I will always be proud of what my castmates did, what I did. Was it an ideal working situation? Absolutely not. But it's okay to love Buffy for what we created because I think it's pretty spectacular. That's just, someone trying to dodge a bullet there, I think.
But also probably not trying to bring up past demons and fucking having to
get
deal with
into a
that
whole
shit.
narrative.
Yeah, totally. Where she also then comes out with something and then she becomes the target of hate. And
it was very close to the Me Too stuff. So it was all about, outing people
Yeah.
and saying, like, you didn't behave the way that you should. It was completely inappropriate. But who really wants to put themselves in that situation? Like, and she would have been
you
the
don't want to put
star.
yourself in the firing line. Yeah, exactly.
She would probably have been the front. So maybe she didn't cop it as bad as some of the others did. So what are you going to do? And one final thing I want to add, read the whole Charisma Carpenter piece because it's super awful and Josh Whedon actually admitted to it. And I'm going to read from an article on Screen Rant, by the way.
Yeah.
Carpenter shared how the Buffy creator had a history of what she called casual cruelty. She noted how Whedon got particularly angry once she became pregnant because it interfered with the Angel season 4 story he'd planned. So they ended up saying she was pregnant to Angel's adult son. And that's how that, but like I said, it just faded into the background. 1 minute she was the main character. The next minute she was accidentally pregnant by his son. It was like a real quick storyline that just came out of nowhere. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then she was gone. She was out. They're like, oh, she's not here anymore. And she was gone. So according to Carpenter, who shared her recollections in a tweet, Whedon asked her if she would keep the baby. Berating and mocking her, Whedon would later respond to Carpenter's tweet in an interview saying that he regrets about the way he spoke to Angel, the Angel star, when she was pregnant. So apparently she came to him and said, I'm pregnant. He fucking lost his shit because it wasn't going to work with the storyline. He was going to have to write her pregnancy into it and asked if she was keeping the baby.
Oh my God.
He also allegedly called her to work on set at 1 a.m. every day in a forced way to try to make her quit. What a piece of shit. Yeah, so it all ended in fucking, which is like, it's really sad when because I've loved Buffy since the movie. I was obsessed with the movie as a child. Like, I remember being like
when that
13.
It's like when Roseanne had the comeback show, I fucking was over the moon. I could not wait. Then they did a season, then she fucking became this racist bitch, and it just like, you've just ruined everything.
Yeah. I've loved you for so long.
Yeah. And it's all gone now.
All right, do it. Do ghosts.
So I'm going to talk about ghosts now. This is a current TV show that I only discovered the other month on Paramount TV. It was one of those suggested shows, and I thought, fuck it, I'll give it a go. I can't remember what I was watching before for it to say, I was watching Evil.
And after he told me that it was amazing and I had to watch it, and I ended up starting to watch the UK version. It wasn't great.
Well, it's like The Office, where there's a UK and a US version.
Sure.
I didn't know about the UK version when I started to begin my journey with the US ghosts.
Thanks for that. Thanks for prefacing that with me.
And I'm glad I got
confused. No, I got confused. I tried to watch. I was looking for something desperately to watch when I was having a party for one.
I'm glad I watched the US version before the UK one, but I'll get to that later. In short, I've watched the 2 seasons currently out of the US version, and I'm in the 2nd season of the UK one. There's 5 in total of the UK one. So both shows are both based around the same thing. A couple inherit an old mansion / manor out in the sticks when the girl's distant relative passes and she's the only living descendant. They think their dreams come true, but find out the house is actually falling apart. They persevere and they want to use the house for a B&B and an event venue. So they work on doing it up for most of the 1st season in both versions. The house is also haunted by a number of ghosts who die on the mansion grounds and are therefore confined to that area, which the people don't see at first. The ghosts in the first episode, the ghosts don't want them there, so they try to scare them off and end up causing an accident where the girl falls out the window in the UK version, but in the US one, she steps on a vase and tumbles down the stairs. She's in a coma for 2 weeks and actually dies for a short period of time. But she's obviously brought back to life. So when she gets back to the house, she's now able to actually see the ghosts that reside in the house. And that's how it rolls out from that point. Her partner obviously still can't see them through the first couple of eps, but when she's able to explain things that no standard person could, he believes her. So, stuff happens. She's able to say stuff. When I first started watching it, I thought there was only 2 seasons of the US Ghost. I didn't know there was a UK version. Thought there was only 2 seasons in total. And I started panicking because I was enjoying it so much. And I thought it suffered the same fate as that show that I love, Pushing Daisies, available in Stamplers, which also was a cracking show, but only had 2 seasons after it became victim of the writer's strike in 2002.
Which is happening right now, writer's strike, by the way.
I know another one, 2007, 2008 writer's strike I'm referring to.
Because they don't have insurance and shit. So it's like, that's it. If they never get fucking cast again, they're fucked.
They don't get anything. Yeah, they need some benefits.
Yeah,
give them benefits.
100%. Give them benefits, you fuckers.
So after I thought, oh my God, there's only 2 seasons. What am I going to do? I Googled it and I was delighted to see that it was actually just released. Season 2 had just finished and came out, and it was renewed for a 3rd season. So it's like, yay, renewed for a 3rd season. Yay. And that's how I found out about the UK version, which excited me more. So the ghosts are all still around because they're bound to that area, appearing as they did at the times of their death until they can reach the afterlife. So when someone goes off to heaven, the ghosts refer to it as them being sucked off. And when they go to hell, they call it, oh, he went down on me, or they went down on us. It's all innocent, though, as most of the ghosts are over 100 years old. So you have the main couple, the husband in both versions, I find pretty fucking annoying, but not enough to not make me watch the show and stuff. So the US one is so much easier to watch. There's literally, the episodes in the US one are 20 minutes long. So you can literally binge the season in a day, really. There's 20 episodes in each season, so it's a bit of a commitment. The UK one, there's 5 seasons, but there's only 6 episodes a season. They're about 30 minutes each. The US one had me hooked from the get-go. They're very clever episodes. There's antics galore where people visit and shit like that, and there's stuff going on. And when she travels to other areas, she sees more ghosts, but only the ones that are confined to that area. It's fun finding out how the main ghosts die and their backstories, etc. The UK one, which is the one that you started watching, I am glad I watched the US one first, because I don't think I would have persevered with the UK one based on its first season. It was okay, but it was somewhat annoying. I'm at season 2 of the UK one now, and it's gotten a lot better. It's kind of like Schitt's Creek and, as you say, The Office, the US Office version. Like, it gets a lot more funnier, and I would totally recommend watching the US one first to get a love of the show. And then from that, you'd sort of get more of a love for the concept and enjoy the UK one. And I cannot wait to get into the 3rd season of the US one when it's released. So I urge you to give it another go, but watch the US one first, Sky.
I'll do the US one. I won't do the UK one unless I love the US one.
You'll love the US one, trust me. I think you'll find it hilarious. And that's it. That's my ghosts.
Well, while you were talking about that, I was thinking about how we watch the Mick. So we're like in the 2nd season of the Mick, by the way.
Oh, are you? And it's good.
First season was fucking hilarious. Tyler and I had to pause it because we were laughing so hard.
Really?
Throughout it. 2nd season's a bit nah. It's not as funny. Is the
first season the one where she gets the chick drunk?
That's the first episode.
That's
the first episode. Yeah. But there's way more. Like, there's one episode where she because it's her sister. Her sister's the billionaire.
Yeah.
And she goes to the party to ask her for money, and then they get arrested for tax evasion in the episode. And then she's like, can you just stay for a little bit longer? Even though the sister's like being a complete mole to her. She's like, there's no one else. Can you please look after them? And then she goes and tries on a wedding dress, drinks all her fucking alcohol out of the cellar, and then wakes up and then like falls off the banister trying to fucking slide down it, drinking wine, falls down. And the kids come and check on her and she's like, I'm okay. And then they come back the next day and it's like the whole nother day and she's still in the same position, wearing her sister's wedding dress covered in red wine. And they're like, you were here the same time yesterday. And she's like, I'm okay. Like, yeah, but you were here this time yesterday, you dumb bitch. And they just rag on her constantly. And it was so funny. We cried laughing. But the second season's not that great. I can see where they axed it.
Oh, is it axed?
Yeah, it's axed.
After 2 seasons.
Yeah, so we're about halfway through the second. It's still funny, but the first season was hilarious.
You still haven't done any of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, though.
No, I haven't. I've been waiting to do it. I will do it. I will.
That's another one though where
it's a slow burn.
Yeah. The first and second seasons are okay, but the third season and from then onwards, you're just like, oh my God.
That's like Parks and Recs.
I hate all of you, but I cannot stop watching because the whole point of It's Always Sunny is they're not characters that you love.
See, I don't know if I can handle that.
It's hilarious though. But
she's great in it. She's really. But let's talk about the Mayfair Witches.
Yes, please.
Which is based on the Anne Rice novels. And I think we've talked about this before. I don't think we've talked about it on this podcast. So I was obsessed with Anne Rice when I was younger.
Me too.
We've talked. Yeah. But then I found out that she writes like insane porn as well, and a pen name. I can't think of what the pen name is. But it's like in a dungeon, women getting completely pummeled, men getting completely pummeled. Go Anne Rice pen name.
Anne Rampling, A.N. Roquelaure.
Oh, that's it. A-N-A. A-N. Yeah, that's it.
Roquelaure.
It's dark, man. The sexual stuff in it is dark. It's like, it's hard. It's like there's one of
do you know she died in 2021?
Yeah, she did die. The son now reproduces everything. So the son helped her write a lot of stuff in the end and then was the one, I don't know. I feel like there's a weird situation there.
Because there's a TV series, I can't remember if it's Paramount or Stan, of The Interview with the Vampire. But they actually focus more on the fact that it was a gay relationship between
yes. So, okay, so the first thing is I read Interview with the Vampire, then found out there was a witch series of the vampires. I was like, I'm fucking in. I love witches. Anything to do with witches, I'm fucking in. So then I started reading the Mayfair Witches, was obsessed. But the first book was about this big. It was called The Witching Hour.
That's a lot.
And it was this, and I loved it. But then the second book was about this big.
Oh, God.
And so I was like, and I think I did read it, but I think it lost my interest at the time, as did all the vampire books as well. Eventually they lost my interest.
They were great. I think the vampire books were great up to...
They got too wordy in the end.
Well, they were good. So the Interview with the Vampire, then the Vampire Lestat, and then the Queen of the Damned. Queen of the Damned.
See, I don't think I got to the Queen of the Damned. I think I got to the Vampire Lestat. But you've said that to me a bunch of times.
So good. And then it was Tale of the Body Thief, and that's kind of where I lost interest.
Well, so anyway, I read The Witching Hour, loved it, was obsessed with it, just couldn't get enough. And I think she brought the second book out much later too. So I was a bit older then. I was like, ugh, I'm not as into it as I was when I was a bit younger. Anyway, so they've brought it out into a series, and it's got Alexander Daddario in it. So if you don't know who that is, it's a chick.
Shall I Google him? Oh,
no. So she's in the first season of the White Dahlia. Is it White Dahlia? What's
White Lotus?
White Lotus. So she's the one who's with the dickhead guy. She doesn't want to be married to him. The really, really, really attractive chick with the bright blue eyes and the dark hair. So she plays the main character. She is great. She makes some dumb fucking choices. I want to punch her in the face, but it was very watchable. It was literally like I put one episode on. I was like, what the fuck? And
she makes dumb choices in the Mayfair Witches.
Yeah, but I binged it in like a day or two, and in the end the ending's terrible, but they've set it up for the next season. It was horrible. She's just a dumb bitch. I want to stab her in the face.
Right.
But it was very good. And do you know who else is in it as plays the uncle is Harry Hamlin? Do you know who Harry Hamlin is? He's married to Lisa Rinna. She's like the Housewives of Beverly Hills or some shit. She used to be on Days of Our Lives or Young and the Restless. Days of Our Lives. One of those.
Yeah. He's like super old, but
yeah,
was
yeah.
he in shit when he was younger?
Totally, in heaps. And he was in Veronica Mars.
Yeah. Mad Men, Clash of Titans.
Yeah.
1981 movie.
They were in all the daytime TV shows. Anyway, so he's in it as well, looking super old, which I love because he always thought he was fucking,
amazing.
Yeah. It's been pretty good. But
what's it about?
Which is the Mayfair Witches.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about this chick who so it's about this whole lineage of witches who originated from the burning on the stake ofs, but how their power comes to them is from this guy called Lasher, and he's obviously, you don't really know, but he's obviously like a demon devil type character who sexualizes them, and then it all happens from the fact that she's about to be burned on the stake and she calls on his power. So once she calls on his power, for every woman in her like history, like every daughter, so it's all daughters.
Yeah.
He's like there and he's obsessed with them. If they let him in, he gives them the power of everything, but they've always got their own power of their own. Like they're already witches in their own right.
Right.
And they've got a lot of power to begin with, but he manipulates them, gets them to wear his necklace and gets them to call him in. And then they get like additional power, but then they're completely under his spell once they let him in. So this crazy aunt, she decides to end the line because it's always daughters. So there's always like the one main girl, but there's always sisters in the outskirts who are trying to stop him. So there's like a daughter whose birthright is to get Lasher to, come in and take over and give him all this sexual pleasure. But there's these there's sisters on the outside who are like, he's evil, he's the devil, we're going to stop you. So they're trying to stop it every time. So Alexander Daddario, the White Lotus chick, her mother gets taken over and she gives birth, and it ends up being her uncle. It's super gross. To fulfill Lasher's destiny.
Yeah.
And then they send her away. So they pretend that she's dead, she died. They send her away. They get one of the cousins to come in, bring her up in a different world, like in a different, across the other side of America. She becomes a surgeon. She's a successful surgeon. And she's always has these moments where when she's in a horrible situation, she can get into people's minds and fuck them up.
Right.
And in the end, Lasher finds her, this devil guy, finds her and finds a way to manipulate her back to the family in New Orleans. And so she comes back, and then he
all the
takes
witches
over.
Go back to New Orleans, don't they?
But she's the 13th witch, so it's like the prophecy. And then there's whole other body of like witch. There's a witch hunter body where they kill people at the stake still in like today's day,
like a Buffy.
And then there's other like the Watcher situation, like Giles.
Yeah.
There's a Watcher situation.
God. How many seasons are there?
Well, it's just finished the first season.
Oh, wow.
But how it ends is that she gives in, even though she's the most powerful. She's the 13th witch. She's got all the powers that everyone's so jealous of. And she just completely fucks. She doesn't have any relationships with men. She doesn't care. She cares about her career. Lasher gets into her head, fucks her up. And she gets pregnant to this guy from the Watcher, commune situation.
Yeah.
And because they fall in love and stuff like that. And then Lasher kidnaps her, then takes over her baby, impregnates her on top of her baby that she's already impregnated with. And it's him, so he can be rebirthed. And then she wakes up one day and she's 9 months pregnant. Then she gives birth and the baby's coming out crawling.
Oh,
God. And the Watcher guy who really loves her is like, bitch, please fucking take the necklace off, and she puts the necklace on straight away and never takes it off because she's a dumb bitch.
What platform's it on?
Prime, I think.
Okay, I really want to watch it now.
Well, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our hilarious trip through the spooky TV series that kept us gagging for more. Drunkenly gagging for more.
Tune in next week as we go back in time and chat about some of the most freaky, horrendous, and downright terrifying asylums of the past. Make sure to rate and review our podcast on Spotify and iTunes, please. And leave a review on our socials too. Leave a review on our socials as well. If you like the apps, comment, bitches. While you're at it. Remember, you can find us anywhere using @StupidBSayWhat. And if you're whining, bitches,
you're winning.
Good night, you stupid bitches.
Good night.
Yeah, that stupid bitch. He's a stupid bitch. What a stupid bitch. That stupid bitch.